is the ultimate travel guide from the people who know it best. Weekends with Yankee.
From Vermont, it's back down south to Boston, where we explore the Gardner Museum's world-renowned art collection, housed in a Venetian-inspired mansion near Fenway Park. This is the private collection of Isabella Stewart Gardner, one of Boston's most unorthodox and remarkable art patrons, who mandated in her will that the works should always be displayed just how she had instructed, long after her death in 1924. That got tricky after 13 paintings were stolen from the museum back in 1990, the largest art theft in U.S. history. This is one of the many hidden gems that are in this city. The artwork here is some of the most sought-after art in the world. In fact, some people might say it's too sought after.
The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum opened in 1903, and it was really this creative output of an incredible woman, Isabella Gardner, who had come from a New York family, moved to Boston, was always a little bit outside of society. She ran against the grain. She lived her life really on her own terms. So the Gardner Museum is a relatively small collection, but chock-a-block full of incredible masterpieces in a very sympathetic interior that makes people, when they come in, not feel like they're in a museum, but like they've been invited to someone's home. And in fact, they've been invited to the home of a really great, eccentric mind who sets up what we call total works of art. This is actually a gorgeous time of day to come into the Gothic room because you've got light through this incredible wheel window from an Italian cathedral. And so it's like in the Middle Ages, they thought that God came through the window.
There's a painting in the corner.
So this is the famous John Singer Sargent portrait of Isabella Stewart Gardner. And you can see she's in this beautiful black velvet dress, which totally accentuates her form. It's sleeveless, it's low cut. This was actually a really scandalous image of her because of her outfit. This is still the 1880s, and so she's not portrayed here as a proper sort of Victorian matron, but as this very sort of sensual woman. So this is another one of the grand salon-like rooms, the Titian room, and in here she's placed a number of really important works from the High Renaissance in Venice. So we have here on the wall one of the most important Old Master paintings in an American collection, Titian's Europa. You see young Europa being abducted by Zeus in the guise of a bull. Isabella Stewart Gardner, when she brings it here, she writes letters and she talks about just spending hours in front of this painting and being drunk from looking at it. This is the courtyard, which is really the heart and soul of the museum. So as you walk around the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, you can always look back here and you can hear the sound of the fountain. You can look at the magnificent greenery. Over the course of the day, to watch the light play across this interior, which actually is meant to evoke an exterior on the Grand Canal of Venice. One of my favorite paintings is El Helo, which means the ruckus. It's a painting of an almost ecstatic flamenco dancer by John Singer Sargent. And as you're standing here, you can see there's a mirror along this side. So suddenly you begin to have these optical illusions and you feel like you're in that space.
It's very powerful.
To me, I can hear the man with his head back wailing. I can hear these, women stomping their feet and clapping along. And her pose is so dynamic, but also impossible. I mean, if you look at the way she's moving, you have to go with a sort of willing suspension of disbelief and kind of throw yourself into this painting.
While the Gardner is world famous for its impressive collection, it is equally famous for what happened on the night of March 18th, 1990, when two men disguised as police officers made off with 13 major pieces valued at $500 million, including works by Rembrandt and Vermeer.
My name is Anthony Amore. I'm the Director of Security at the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. On March 18, 1990, at 1:24 in the morning, two individuals disguised as police officers came into the museum. They spoke to the guards for a few minutes and then told them they were under arrest. And once these two individuals had the guards handcuffed, they blindfolded them and tied them up with duct tape, locked them in the basement, and then spent the rest of the time in the museum stealing 13 works of art. They took 3 Rembrandts, 5 Degas, a Vermeer. It is the biggest heist of anything in recorded history, and to date, none of the pieces have been recovered. So we lost 13 works, and 26 years later, we're still looking for them every day. The two with the highest dollar value would be the concert by Johannes Vermeer, which is the most valuable stolen thing in all the world. And second would be The Storm in the Sea of Galilee by Rembrandt, which is his only known seascape.
I mean, the first question I have is, weren't there security cameras?
The security cameras that were here went to a VHS-type recording system, which was standard in its time, and the thieves took the tape before they left the museum. They were here for 81 minutes, which makes it the longest art heist that's ever taken place.
You work on this case every day? Or?
Yeah, I work very closely with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office to be constantly moving forward.
Are you optimistic that you'll recover these?
I'm very optimistic. I really, truly believe we will get them back. And when you talk about masterpieces, they're either recovered right away or a generation later. So in a strange way, time is on our side because the scariest bad guys involved are probably dead. I believe there are people out there, perhaps watching this show, who might have information, and we hope that they'll contact me or the FBI to let us know what they know. We have a $5 million reward for information that leads directly to that recovery that we're eager to pay. We're working very hard behind the scenes every day to try to get them back where they belong.
Mrs. Gardner was an extraordinary woman, but this seems almost to add to her legend.
It does, in an unfortunate way. I like to think that I'm working on her behalf, looking for these things. But if there's one thing for sure, these paintings, they belong here because this is where they're supposed to stay forever.